Riverton.
Yes.
Do you remember my distinctly telling you that I wanted nothing thrown out?
Yes.
Well, you've thrown out my exercise elastic.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, here it is in the wastebasket, and I didn't put it there.
Oh, is that your... Oh, forgive me. I thought it was a piece of old rubber.
It doesn't matter what you thought it was. The point is you threw it out.
Well, yes, because I thought it was rubbish.
Miss Riverton, I didn't ask you to use your best judgment. I didn't say throw out what you think is rubbish and keep the rest. I said don't throw anything out.
Well, but what about rubbish?
Rubbish is not your affair. I have a maid who deals with rubbish. You are my secretary, not my housekeeper.
Assistant, yes, of course.
You are not my assistant, Miss Riverton. You are my secretary.
All right.
I don't like to call something something else just because it's politically correct. A secretary is a perfectly fine thing to be.
But I do assist you.
Yes, you do, and so does a secretary.
But isn't an assistant closer to what I do?
No, it isn't. It just uses the verb assist as a noun. You don't assist me in altering my clothes or cutting my hair or doing my nails. You assist me in the way a secretary does. A word which you may be interested to know originally meant desk.
Yes, I see.
Thank you, that will be all. Where am I going?
When?
Now.
Nowhere.
Nowhere? That's impossible. It's Friday night.
Yes, I know.
Well, how did this happen?
Well, you had an engagement with Nelson Miles, but then the Stratners invited you for a sale around East Hampton with Princess Niall and Ralph Lauren. So you canceled Mr. Miles. But then the Stratners canceled because of the weather, and it was too late to get Mr. Miles back, so you placed a call with your son so you could invite him to dinner, but he told me he's going out of town with his father and stepmother on a long weekend to visit her parents' dairy farm. And then it was today.
You know, Miss Riverton, when you place a call for me, I would appreciate it to discuss the purpose of the call with the person I'm calling. I couldn't have asked my son if he was free for dinner on Friday. I didn't ask you to do that.
Yes, but he said, what does she want?
Yes, and you should have said one moment and I'll put her on.
You were on another call.
It doesn't matter.
It's just that I thought you were busy.
I was busy. I am busy. I am a busy woman, but it still doesn't matter. My son lives in a dorm. It takes time to put him on the phone. Time you saved me by instituting. I'm not going to make you feel guilty because I don't personally dial every member of my family.
I assure you I had no intention of making you feel guilty.
Well, I am guilty, so it doesn't take much.
I'm sorry. It's just...
What?
nothing. Really, it's not important.
Oh, please finish your sentence, Miss Riverton. It just drives me crazy when you do that. What? I want to know. What? Oh, don't make me go through this. What?
It's just that your son has said, a few times he said that it's rude to call someone and make them wait while you, well not you, anyone comes to the phone. It's like knocking on the door and leaving a sign saying back in a minute, stay right there.
He's right.
He says no matter how
No. He's right. He's absolutely right. And I do that all the time. No wonder I'm guilty. Of course, I would just cut my day in half. I did all those numbers myself, and I had to wait for a secretary to answer and tell me whether or not someone could come to the phone, and half the time they couldn't. Then I had to leave a message saying that I called.
Perhaps if you just did it with family and close friends.
Yes, that's a good idea. Remind me to do that. Did he ask to talk to me, my son?
No, he said he knew you were busy.
What a lousy week.
It has been complicated.
Awful, the worst. First the root canal and this hideous haircut. Then I got on the scale this morning and I gained 3 pounds because I couldn't find my exercise elastic and I was just too irritated to work out. Thank God the mammogram turned out all right. Have to keep things in perspective.
Sorry about the elastic.
All these things happen.
Tomorrow night is Lincoln Center. You've been looking forward to that.
Tomorrow night is 24 hours away. What are you doing tonight, Miss Riverton?
Me? Nothing.
Well, would you care to come home with me and have dinner?
Thank you. But the cook and the maid are off tonight.
What?
You told me they wouldn't be
Oh,
eating because
no!
of the dinner party.
But the Stratners canceled!
Yes, but they didn't cancel until Thursday night, and I didn't get the message until this morning. By then, the cook and the maid were gone.
Oh, shit. It's just the fucking end of the world, isn't it?
I'm sorry.
I want to know, how would you know the Stratners would cancel?
I was thinking about the elastic. So awful to gain weight.
Oh, forget the exercise elastic. The exercise elastic is past. The exercise elastic is just something to sustain me between sessions. The important thing is, what are we going to eat? It's too late to get any decent restaurants, even for me. God. Could we order in?
Yes. What would you like?
Oh, I don't know. Pasta, fish?
Perhaps Japanese. You like Japanese.
Yes, order Japanese. Japanese sounds good. Order something I like, but nothing raw.
Nothing raw.
I'm afraid of parasites.
Oh, what would you
Oh,
like?
don't ask me what I'd like. I'm no good at that. You pick it.
Yes, I'd like to place an order. 322 Madison Avenue.
Order shumai.
The Penthouse. Asquith Enterprises.
Ask if they have soft shell
Do you
crab.
have soft shell
Roll,
crab?
hand roll.
One soft shell crab roll, hand roll, one shumai.
Maybe two
one
shumai.
California roll, two shumai.
But they're small. Three
one
shumai.
Manhattan
And
roll,
three
three
soft-
shumai. Three soft shell crab
And
rolls.
three-
No,
and
that's two sets
shrimp
left.
teriyaki.
Three all together.
Did you tell them shrimp teriyaki?
Two shrimp teriyaki.
And rice. Extra
And
rice.
extra
Brown
rice.
rice. And sake.
And
Plenty of
sake.
sake. Perfect. Oh, yum. Get some plates and we'll set the desk. And I opened 2 excellent bottles of wine for lunch before that barbarian Charles said no alcohol. Assholes accountants are. Where's the wine? The wine. Ah, here it is. And 2 glasses. Oh, this is going to be such fun, just like a picnic. Perhaps we should set the coffee table instead of the desk. More picnicky. But it's low. Maybe the desk is better. Oh, what if it's low? We'll sit on the floor. Here. Just put those down anywhere and try some of this.
Yes, Miss Asquith.
Perhaps you should call me Margaret for tonight. Well, perhaps not. Well, what shall we drink to?
You're having a wonderful time at Lincoln Center tomorrow night.
Lovely.
Oh, this is good.
Isn't it? I'm so glad you appreciate it. So many people have no understanding of wine.
Yes, I know. Long ago, I made a pact with myself never to drink wine unless it was very, very good. This is excellent.
Fascinating. How did you develop such an interest in wine?
My father was French.
Enough said.
Oh, this is very good.
So good, such clarity.
And subtlety. The wine presents itself, but not boldly. Delicately, innocently.
Well put. Very well put. Well, I can tell you I'm going to have a few additional sessions with my trainer this week.
May I suggest?
Oh, please, please finish your sentence, Miss Riverton. It just drives me up a wall when you do that. This is a social evening. All of the rules are changed. You just say whatever comes into your mind.
Well, all I was going to say is, I wonder if your trainer does quite enough aerobic work with you.
You think I'm fat?
No, I'm talking health-wise, weight control-wise.
Well, he does half an hour.
Well, sometimes not a full half hour. Is a half hour on a trampoline really enough?
You don't approve of the trampoline?
Oh, I do. It's just so much of the movement is momentum. Fast walking and jogging is much more effective.
How do you know so much about this?
I'm very interested in the body.
You're in wonderful shape.
Thank you. I'm very strong for a woman.
You look very strong.
Too strong?
Don't be ridiculous. You can't look too strong. The appearance of strength is the appearance of power. Do you know the real difference between men and women, Miss Riverton? Strength. Sheer physical strength. Do you know that there are male fish that actually change sex when a bigger fish comes along? Because only the biggest fish can be male. All the rest of the fish are his harem.
You're joking.
Absolutely not. And these fish have it down to such a science they don't even have to fight. They just measure. The fish looks most likely to inflict injury wins.
Well, it's certainly a man's world if you're a fish, isn't it?
That's not my point, Miss Riverton. My point is that it's not whether you're a man or a woman who determines whose world it is. It's how strong you are that determines whether you're a man or a woman. Metaphorically, of course.
Of course. Well, I'm very strong.
Yes, I've seen you carry those file boxes. You know, Jane, you're the best secretary I've ever had. I can't tell you the idiots I've had to put up with before you came along. I don't know if I could get along without you, Jane.
Joan. Well, thank you. I tried to do my job.
Joan? Oh, what a fool I am.
No.
Oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
Not at all.
You've had to my secretary for so long and not know your first name.
Well, you don't call me by my first name, and you were very close, Jane Joan.
But you know my first name.
Well, yes, but I make out all your checks and handle your mail.
Well, there's that. But no, that's the easy way out. I don't know your first name because I don't notice anything. That's a terrible failing of mine. I don't notice anything unless it's directly in my line of vision, part of what I'm focusing on. That was one of the reasons for my divorce. One day I handed my husband an envelope and said, "Mail this for me." And he said, "Can't your secretary mail it?" And I said, "I'm sorry, darling, I didn't realize I was talking to you."
Well, that doesn't seem so awful. Awful enough for a divorce.
Well, it wasn't just that discussion. It turned out he'd been very unhappy for a very long time. But of course I didn't notice. I'm very insensitive, and everyone has to forgive me. Until they don't.
I think you're wonderful.
Well, thank you, Joan. But it's a shortcoming, being blind to others. Power in a relationship belongs to whoever wants to leave first, and you can't anticipate that if you don't notice the other person. The irony is that I wondered for years if I didn't make a mistake marrying him, if I couldn't have done better if it wasn't a waste of my time, all of the vacations and dinners and preludes to sex. And the minute he said he wanted a divorce, I realized that I loved him madly. Madly, and it was too late.
Shall I get the other bottle of wine?
Yes, thank you. You know, Joan, I'm having just a wonderful time. I'm glad the Stratner's canceled.
This is very pleasant.
So you're from France?
No, I'm from Michigan. My father was from France.
Michigan, how interesting. I've heard so much about Michigan. We always went to Italy or the south of France, but I wish we went to Michigan. It sounds lovely.
And I wish we'd gone to the south of France. Life is funny.
Very.
Oh, good sound. That's very important. My father taught me that. He was a room service waiter in Cannes. He started the same year as the film festival.
How interesting.
It was all before I was born, of course.
Of course, that's when everything interesting happens.
Seeing the south of France and Italy, that must have been interesting.
It wasn't. Not to me. I'll tell you a secret that no one else knows. I was a fat child.
No.
And a fat teenager. I went to school in Switzerland, and Swiss food is just butter looking for a reason. I was so fat by the time I was 13 that they called me Petite Vache Yankee.
Petite vache Yankee?
Little Yankee cow. Switzerland can be very cruel.
Oh, Miss Asquith. Underneath everything, I think you're a very vulnerable woman.
Well, I'm not. I can't tell you how much I hate that word. I don't know why everyone thinks it's so special to be vulnerable. It's a self-pitying, time-consuming preoccupation, and everybody has it. Hitler was vulnerable. He stopped on Mother's Day. What does that tell you?
I didn't know that about Hitler. Well, that changes things. I always thought he was just this awful man. Very good. I'll have to remember that.
So tell me more about Michigan.
Well, there's not a whole lot more to tell. It was very cold in the winter, and in the summer it got hot. Not a good climate.
Oh, so you moved to New York.
Yes, that's right.
Wonderful story. Well, I can tell you I'm hungry.
It's a pretty boring story.
Oh, no, not at all.
I've had a pretty boring life.
Nonsense. With a father who worked in Canada, moving from Michigan to New York.
When I was young, I still wanted to be someone special.
Well, you are someone special.
I mean, someone special, who everyone knows is special. I guess what I'm saying is I wanted to be famous.
Oh, well.
Because being famous is like being immortal, isn't it?
Well, only if you're very famous for a very long time.
But you can be. Anyone can be. And I know how. Do you know how? You can kill someone famous. Of course, it has to be someone really famous, and people have to be convinced you're not part of a conspiracy. And meeting someone famous isn't so easy. When I was younger, that's all I thought about. How can I meet him? Who can I kill who's famous, and how can I meet him? Probably I should have been thinking, how can I meet who's famous and how can I kill him, but I was just a kid. I thought of killing the president, but everyone who tries to kill the president is such a slug. I mean, I made a list of successful presidential assassins who still had some kind of stature, and, well, you know who there is. Booth, because he killed Lincoln. And where are you going to find another Lincoln? And I don't know, it just seems like such a failure. Right to the president, kill someone famous, kill the president. Duh. Of course, Jack the Ripper is still famous, and he just killed a lot of totally unknown prostitutes. But that may be because no one knows who he really is. And Charlie Manson is still famous, and he just killed a starlet and some hairdressers. But who knows if he'll stand the test of time. You can easily kill someone and just be overlooked. Unless you killed a lot of people. Or just killed a few people. But in a really ghastly way. But it'd have to be so ghastly.
You've given this a lot of thought.
I have. I mean, if there was another way, but I can't write a novel, I can't become a movie star, I can't invent a vaccine because I have no talent. Not that talent is any guarantee of fame, but with talent I'd have had a shot at it, an honest shot, and I'd have taken it. I didn't want an easy way out, I didn't want to resort to murder, but well, fame is fame. The important thing to me is not to just pass through, to leave a mark, to change the world, to have people's consciousness enlarged to include me. And it wasn't for material gain. I didn't want to get rich. I wasn't going to live well for my crime. If I got caught, I'd probably be electrocuted. So in a way, I would have been sacrificing my life for immortality, just like an artist or a scientist does. I would have been driven to kill, not for the reward, but because there's nothing else I could do to fulfill myself. The same reason an artist creates. My curse has always been that I'm a special person with no special ability.
Well, that is a problem, isn't it?
And then as years passed, I realized how hard it is to meet someone famous. I thought, maybe if I just kill someone rich and important or socially prominent. But by then I knew I was compromising. I was just after fame and not lasting fame. I told myself some fame is better than no fame, and I was probably right.
Well, not necessarily. Lasting fame is by far. But all this talk about fame, there's so much more to life than fame. There's self-esteem. How well you've done with what you've been given. Love. Love is important.
That's just what Oprah said.
Did she? Well, she's a very wise woman in many ways.
She's very famous.
Yes, indeed.
She'd be a good one to kill.
Yes! Excellent. You'd want someone that famous.
Sometimes that backfires.
Hardly ever.
Oh yes, the celebrity of the victim is so great it overshadows the assassin. That was the real triumph of Charles Manson. He killed people who were just rich and famous enough. That, of course, is what I didn't realize when I was a kid. I aimed too high.
You know, Joan. May I call you Joan?
Of course, Miss Asquith.
Margaret, please. You know, Joan, things don't always work out as happily as they did for Charlie Manson. I mean, sometimes there's a horrible murder and it's fun for a while, but then everyone forgets. Or there's another worse murder and everyone's distracted, and meanwhile the poor murderer is incarcerated or electrocuted with no real reward for his crime. What was so important to him or her has been forgotten by everyone else. How far away is this restaurant you ordered from? Tokyo? Just kidding, but it has been a long time since you ordered.
I've made you nervous, haven't I?
No, not at all.
Yes, I have. We're having such a nice time. One of the nicest times I've ever had, and I ruined it.
Nonsense, you've ruined nothing. Talking about murder is just a little, it's always a little edgy. It's been such a long day, and I'm sure we're both. Would you like some music? Why don't I put on some music? Oh, that's funny. I can't feel my legs. This is something put something in my food or drink.
Miss Asquith, you've had half a bottle of wine and an empty stomach, and I've had the other half. We're both going to be feeling strange.
Oh, the wine. I forgot about that. How quickly the brain cells die. Now the music. Come on, music. Don't have one fucking song in this entire collection!
You asked me to get classical. You said it would serve the clients better.
Oh, of course I was just talking to myself.
Oh, Miss Asquith, I think I should go. I've really upset you. Your hands are shaky.
Nonsense. It's just that I haven't eaten and it's late. So you might want to go because it's late. But you certainly shouldn't go because you think you upset me.
You know, this was just a hypothetical discussion. It's not like I would actually kill someone. I'm not like some madman who gets fired from the post office and shoots everyone for revenge. I have no reason to do anything bad to anyone.
Of course not, and you never will.
Because I'm just this little secretary who makes $30,000 a year, and that's all I'll ever be. Because that's all I'm worth. I've accepted that.
No, Joan, you're worth everything.
But you only pay me $30,000. I don't think you pay me less than I'm worth.
Well, I would pay you more if I could.
But why should you? I make so many mistakes.
Well, that is true, isn't it? You do make mistakes. So I tell you what, when you stop making so many mistakes, I'm going to give you a very nice raise.
Oh, Miss Asquith, do you think maybe someday I can become your assistant?
Yes, well, how about today?
Do you mean it?
Absolutely. I'm not going to pay a mere secretary more than $30,000 a year, and that's exactly what you'll be getting when I give you a raise. More than $30,000 a year.
How much more?
We'll see.
Some secretaries make $100,000 a year.
Very, very few.
I wish I could be sure you're not just doing this because in some way I made you nervous. I'd feel so awful if you're just being nice to me as a kind of out of fear.
Don't be ridiculous. Why would you make me nervous? If I left you to be the kind of person who would be intimidating me to employ a raise, then why would you make me nervous? Because when you were a kid, you wanted to shoot a few famous people? Hey, who hasn't wanted to pick up a gun and shoot a few people?
Actually,
At one point or another.
I was only going to shoot a man. If it was a woman, I was going to stab her or strangle her. Weaker victim light a weapon.
So many rules and so fair.
Oh yes. Of course it's risky to be fair. If the woman's strength is too close to yours, she can inflict too much injury and you won't get the knife in. That's one of the reasons I got so strong.
I'll get it! Hello? Hi, Charles. How are you? Where are you? vineyard, how fun. Miss Riverton and I are just finishing the wine you wouldn't let me finish for lunch. We're having dinner together in the office, just the two of us.
That'll be the food.
And the delivery man is here. Miss Riverton is going to get the food now. She's going out of the door. She's... Charles, Miss Riverton is psychotic. She's someone who wants to kill someone famous, but now she wants to kill someone important to be famous. She's just terrifying. No, I can't fire her. She's talking about the post office. I spend the rest of my life with a bodyguard. I want you to give her a raise. Give her a raise. She's playing some kind of Machiavellian game with me, some sort of brilliant cat and mouse game. But I think I'm safe if I just do whatever she says. I have to go now, Charles. Miss Riverton is back, and I don't want to keep her waiting.
You have everything. Everything you could ever want.
It smells very good.
This is so nice, isn't it? I mean, this means so much to me. Well, I don't want to embarrass you.
No.
Here's to a whole new what?
You name it.
Oh, I'm so bad with words.
I think you're pretty good.
Thank you. You're looking at me so hard.
We're in my line of vision.
Ball game. Is that a good word?
Excellent. That's an excellent word. Now that you're in my line of vision, you get to see how very clever you are.
Careful, or I'll ask for that raise now.
How very, very clever, Miss Riverton. You're fascinating. This is fascinating. It's almost relaxing.
Is it?
Oh, well, yes, because there's nothing I can do, is there?
I think I'm not following you too well.
I mean, when somebody wants something more than life, they win. There's nothing you can threaten them with.
Like the Arabs who blow themselves up so they can go straight to paradise.
You are following me after all. We all have a version of paradise, Miss Riverton. Yours is fame, and mine is to live. I'll do anything to live. So I lose.
I think you should eat something before you drink the sake.
I wonder if this is what Dostoevsky meant when he wrote about the voluptuousness of surrender. Have you read Dostoevsky's journals, Miss Riverton?
Who's Dostoevsky? Stalin.
What?
Is Dostoevsky Stalin?
No, he's Dostoevsky.
Oh, you were talking about Hitler before, so I thought maybe Stalin was Dostoevsky.
Then who would Stalin be?
I don't know. I thought that was his real name. Stalin. Like how Tito was a nickname for whoever Tito was. So I thought maybe Stalin was a nickname for Dostoevsky.
No.
Well, I didn't know. I don't think that's such a big mistake, not knowing who Dostoevsky is. I know who Stalin is, and he's the famous one.
Miss Riverton, I don't think I can submit to you if you go on with this.
What do you mean?
I mean, I can't play cat and mouse with a bimbo.
Please don't call me a bimbo, Miss Asquith. That really upsets me.
Well, what else am I supposed to call you when suddenly you sound like every chauffeur I've ever been to bed with? It just makes me wonder if you're really as crazy as you pretend to be, or as strong.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about your strength, Miss Riverton. This strength with which you're going to strangle or stab a woman. And I'm wondering if the idea of presenting yourself as strong didn't come from my saying that the appearance of strength is power and then just building from there.
I'm not presenting myself as anything. I'm not a bimbo, and I'm very strong.
As strong as I am.
As strong as you are, oh, I think so.
But you also think that Dostoevsky is Stalin, so your opinions aren't as informed as they might be.
You saw me carry the file boxes.
No, I didn't.
You said you did.
I'd lie.
Well, I carried them.
So did I.
You carried file boxes.
Yes.
How many?
How many did you carry?
When?
Anytime. The time you carried the most.
6.
So did I.
You carried 6 file boxes.
Absolutely.
Well, can you do this?
Yes.
Let's see it then.
Take my word for it.
You can't, can you? I'll bet you don't have the strength to do even one.
Sheer physical strength isn't that necessary, Miss Riverton. Will counts too.
No, it doesn't. Because a strong person can make a weak person do something against his will. He can use physical force over the weak person, and then the weak person is always in his power.
Isn't that just a wee bit dramatic for what is essentially a push-up contest?
Get down on the ground and try a push-up, Miss Asquith. I challenge you.
I don't accept challenges. It would mean I have something to prove.
If you'll accept this one, it's time for us to measure. I'm afraid I have to insist.
But well, what's that important to you?
See? You can't do it. But don't give up trying. Keep using that will of yours. You see, this is trash. I put it right where it belongs. In the trash basket. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't make you strong. It's just a toy that gives you the illusion of strength. A personal trainer's silly invention for silly rich women. Do you know what makes you strong? Carrying file boxes, climbing 3 flights of stairs to a walk-up so you can afford to live in Manhattan. Lugging groceries, doing your own housework, wheeling your mother around when you visit her because you can't afford a nurse, walking miles to save money on subways, painting your own ceiling, fixing your own pipes because the plumber costs so much. Hard, terrible labor. That is what makes you strong. And it's insane to think that God would create a world so lopsided that a multi-millionaire who hires a trainer to get a little hour of physical labor would be as strong as somebody who actually...
You're right. It's not Will, but it is that personal trainer. And I've been skipping sessions. It would be very hard to get a knife at me now, Miss Riverton. If you were looking for a victim, I mean. You'd have to stab me in the back and break your rules, and I know you wouldn't do that. You see, Jane, I'm afraid God did create a very lopsided world. In that way, he's very much like Tito. Oh, don't cry. That's no way to end a contest. Don't cry. It's not so bad. Well, the walk-up doesn't sound much fun. But look at those leg muscles. Think of it this way. Everything's just as it was this morning, and you weren't crying then. Now let's have our picnic, shall we? It's getting late. And get my exercise elastic out of the trash.
You're not going to fire me?
Never. You're going to be the reason I stay in shape.